Well, after another long night of work, I'm going to try to get another video for you guys showing you what I'm going to make today. I got some construction going on in the background. They're working on the house today, finally getting the siding on, so hopefully this week we'll have siding on the house. I'm real excited about that. What I'm making today, actually I started making last night, is sirloin beef tips. And I put them in the crock pot, so they've been sitting overnight on low. It's actually been probably about 14 hours right now. But the one thing I noticed about sirloin beef tips is they don't have a lot of fat. Yeah, even the grass-fed, grass-finished cow I bought, this time they didn't have a whole lot of fat on them. So I'm also taking some cut fat I got from Publix that I'm going to chop up and cook in the air fryer so we can have some fat Crispies to go with our sirloin beef tips. First, let's take a look and see how they're doing. Looking good. Looking real good. Now I did add about 8 ounces of water to these because I put 2 packs in there. And they have stayed nice and moist. Looking forward to getting into those. First I want to put a little Redmond real salt on there. Put some on last night. But when they sit in the water like that, they tend to lose some of that flavor. It's on low now. It's on warm right now. I always talk about what I have on this particular crock pot. Low, high, and warm. Those are the choices other than off. And this is just a cheap little $20 crock pot from Walmart. I would give you a link for my Amazon associates, but strangely this crock pot on Amazon is about double the price it is at Walmart. So I'll save you some money and you just get it at Walmart, and then we don't have to worry too much about the Amazon associates this time. But if you haven't watched my videos before, this is something I've showed you a few times. This is a great way to add some fat to your diet if you need a little bit more fat in the mix. I don't keep up with percentages and things like that. I just add enough to be happy. And I love the fat. You know, it's so funny. Years ago when I did Atkins diet, I thought sirloin was the best meat to buy because that had the least amount of fat on it and it was the cheapest cut. Well, it was cheaper than a lot of the cuts anyway that were actually a steak. I would look at the ribeye and think, why would I spend more for this ribeye when I'm going to get all that fat on there that I'm just going to cut off? What was I thinking? Cutting off the fat. Now I live to get some fat in my meat. Fat's where all the energy is. I think in a previous video I accidentally said carbohydrates were in there, but I didn't mean to say that. I was just thinking in old terms of needing a carbo load, you know, or something like that, and you get your energy from carbs. I haven't gotten any energy from carbs in I don't know how long. Just my electrolytes and my meat for 2 years now, and I got tons of energy. I was working last night with an 18-year-old working with me unloading this truck. He thought I was 30 years old because I was keeping up with him so well. When I told him I was 50, he was shocked. He was also shocked to find out you could do so well eating only meat. You know, like most of the people, he's been convinced, based on the fact that grandma tells him and mom tells him and the news tells him and the TV tells him and the doctors tell him and his teachers tell him, you got to eat vegetables and you got to eat all these health foods and you got to buy these packaged foods that are supposedly healthy for you if you want to get anything, and spend money on superfoods and all kind of supplements and things like that. I said, you don't need any of that garbage. Just eat natural, delicious food. And when I told him I didn't season my meat, he said, man, you don't know what you're missing. I said, believe me, I know what I'm missing. And it ain't seasoning. Salt has changed everything for me. You know, a lot of people don't realize how good meat can be until they've tasted just the meat brought out with the flavor of salt. Salt really brings the flavor of the food out. And I've heard some vegans try to explain that that's the only reason you like the meat is because you've got salt on it. But it's not the salt itself that you're tasting. It's the flavor of whatever the salt is on that you're getting the most of. So I'm going to set those on 475 for 16 minutes, and that should be plenty of time to get them nice and crispy. I'll take them out and they should be ready to go. Also with the beef tips, I'd like to have some eggs this morning. So I'm gonna go whip up some pasture-raised eggs. Lighting isn't quite as good in here, but it'll do. These are pasture-raised Vital Farm eggs. I'm using one of those evil gas stoves they're trying to get rid of. What a crazy world we live in these days. Gas stoves are the enemy now. What are they gonna come after next? I have no idea. It'll probably be something stupid though. Well, I'm gonna live on the edge and use one anyway. And I don't have my normal brand of eggs. I usually get Handsome brand eggs because they're organically raised. I don't know how these are fed. They say they forage outdoors, so I assume it's gonna be organic food. But I like this brand so far because the shells are nice and strong. If you can get the egg open too easy, that's a unhealthy chicken. A lot of people ask me about eating eggs on Lion Diet. I didn't eat eggs for the first year and a half I was doing Lion Diet because eggs are not from a ruminant animal. So I got used to just eating beef and lamb for the most part. I also didn't have butter up until about a year ago. But those are some things that I added back, and I gotta remind people, Lion Diet is an elimination diet. The point of the elimination diet is to figure out what's causing your problems. And it took me a solid year to really get to where I started feeling like I'd be comfortable adding things back. Although I really started after about 7 or 8 months, I found out coffee and I don't agree. It caused me to have gut problems. And anything I've tried with vegetables has caused me to have some kind of response that I didn't like. So, and I don't think it's the same for everybody. I think vegetables are good for most people, but there's a lot of people like me that don't seem to do well with them at all. And obviously, I don't want to recommend at all processed foods and modern day breads and a lot of the things that are out there. Even the fruits that you buy in the store and the vegetables, a lot of them, they're not natural either. So if you can raise your own, you probably got a better shot of getting something healthy. I'd like to have my chickens that I have now, haven't started laying yet because they're all getting used to each other. I guess it takes them a while to get comfortable before they're ready to start laying eggs. But we've got a few chickens again, so we're going to see if we can start raising our own and not having to buy these expensive store eggs. But I just wanted to make clear the big difference, because I get people asking me, what's the difference in Lion Diet and standard carnivore diet? And basically the difference is a carnivore diet allows you to eat any kind of meat from any animal. If you want to eat pig, if you want to eat chicken, if you want to eat goat, I mean, they're all mixed in. You want to eat seafood, that's fine. Lion Diet, however, only is meat from ruminant animals and water and salt. Those are the 3 ingredients of a Lion Diet. You'll still be on Lion Diet if you start adding things back. It just depends on what you're adding back. I'd basically say I've converted to a carnivore diet, but I'm still very limited in what I've added because I don't add pork and I don't eat chicken by itself. I do eat eggs though, and they come from a chicken, so I guess you could say I eat poultry. And a ruminant animal is, well, basically cows. But cows aren't the only ones. Any animal that eats grass, chews the cud, has multiple chambered stomachs that are designed to process out all the toxins that are in the vegetables so that they get the carbohydrates that are actually in the plants. That's what makes them fatter. If you check out my video on grass-fed, grass-finished beef, the carnivore must-see, I can't remember the exact title, but I'll put a link to it in the description. I've talked about it before. It's where I've spoke to Miles up at Big Mo Cattle, and he goes into a lot of detail on the information that you really need to know if you're interested in grass-fed beef, because all grass-fed beef is not the same. A lot of the grass-fed beef you buy in the store, they don't hang it to age for several weeks, which makes a huge difference in how tough the meat comes out, as well as the flavor of the meat. I understand some people have histamine issues with the meat that's raised that way, so you might be better to get some of the meat that's store-bought. But so far, I haven't found anything that compares to having properly done grass-fed, grass-finished. That means they didn't send it to a grain yard just before slaughter and then fatten it up some more. And then the other nice thing about the beef that I get from Big Mo is that there's no chemicals on the animals, there's no chemicals on the pasture itself. He does everything naturally, so you're not going to wind up getting a whole bunch of antibiotics in your system like you do when you buy store-bought beef. But I got to admit, I did most of my diet doing store-bought beef, and it's done me wonders. I would love to see, eventually, if I could ever afford to do it, just buying grass-fed beef only, and really get an idea as to how having the best kind of beef can make a difference with that low ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. It's a goal of mine. Maybe I'll get there someday. And we're just about finished up on the air fryer. I'm going to throw some meat on top of this. Let me go ahead and salt these eggs real quick. Now, I don't use the kosher salt when I'm salting something like eggs, because then you'll have crunchy salt all over your eggs. Let me grab my regular salt. Now, whether I'm using ground salt or kosher salt, I'm always using Redmond salt. I do not recommend using table salt. Table salt is not natural. They take away all the trace elements, and you wind up getting something that's just a science experiment instead of some good, natural, healthy salt for your body. Even the iodine that's in regular table salt is hardly bioavailable. So the only problem some people see is that you don't get any iodine in this salt. Now, that's not been the natural way to get iodine for thousands of years. The only way you get iodine is to either eat food from the sea or food that was grown close enough to the sea for the iodine to have penetrated into the water supply and into the vegetation around the animals that eat there. I add iodine by using a supplement, and I've mentioned that in other videos, and there'll be a link in this video if you're interested in seeing which supplement I use. It's a supplement by Zen House. I wanted to cover one thing before we get wrapped up today, though. I am planning on trying to do an interview with the founder of KetoCon. I spoke to her on the phone yesterday, Robin Switzer, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but I guess I'll find out soon. And I was thinking about doing a live stream for that one. I haven't done a live stream since I've been doing this channel, Ferrigno Freedom. Now, I did back when it was a gaming channel, when I was 275 pounds and focused on a lot of the wrong things, and I enjoyed doing live streams, but back then I only had 500 subscribers. Now I've just broke the 18,000 subscriber point, so I'm not really sure what to expect. But I'm thinking it would be a great chance for us to talk to her about what KetoCon's all about, and you guys could ask your questions, and then maybe we can even talk about a few things ourselves. If everything goes well, I'm hoping to maybe start doing live streams at least once a week. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to mention it in the comments that you'd like to see more of that, or you'd like to at least participate in the one that's coming up. Yeah, baby. Yeah, no fat really to be found on these sirloin tips. We're going to fix that in just a second. But yeah, using the ground salt and grinding it up to fine salt is a great way to season your food after you've cooked it. But before you've cooked it, kosher salt. It's awesome because the granules are not quite as big as coarse salt, and you're not grinding them into fine salt, so they tend to stay on the meat and just give it that flavor you're looking for. Plus, it doesn't disappear into the meat when you add it to it, so that you just don't see it and you wind up adding too much by accident. Alright, let's see. Oh, look at that. They're ready to go. Take a look at this. This is what the Fat Crispies look like when they've been in there for 16 minutes at 475 degrees. I'll just take those out of here. You let them cool down just a little bit. They're kind of soft when they come right out. But once they've been sitting there cooling for a little while, it'll be like eating little pieces of popcorn without the corn. They're awesome. And they're so juicy. You want to eat them fairly soon after you take them out, though. At least I do. I just like them best that way. When they get cold, they're not quite as good to me. So this is going to be breakfast for Katie and I this morning. Sirloin tips, pasture-raised eggs, and crispy pieces of fat. Love it. Good stuff. Well, that's it for today. All I can say is screw it. Get up and do it. And I'll see you guys next time. Oh, and I get a lot of comments on the shirts that I wear. Recently, the shirts I wear are all from my own merch shop, which there's a link in the description for, including this one. Vegetarians are cool. All I eat are vegetarians. So if you're interested and you like the designs, go check them out. I've got all kind of designs. I've got one that says, "Did someone say steak?" I've got carnivore designs for the entire carnivore community. I've got legalized freedom gear. You can get shirts, hats, pins, stickers, all kind of stuff. Spreadshop has really helped me set up a pretty cool merch shop. You should check it out if you like them. I'll see you guys next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?